Hello everyone, welcome back to Railway Cottage. I'm Karen and I am really excited to be starting the new Roxy's Journal of Stitchery project. The girls are already a couple of weeks in and as usual I'm a little behind, but that's okay because I'm a big picture person and I quite often need to think the whole thing through before I can get a handle on how I want to approach it. So the project is for a still life piece made on a piece of canvas or designed to go on a wall. So I had a little bit of a dig around, and the thing that jumped out at me and inspired me was this beautiful frame that I have had forever. Let me just turn it over for you. It's a beautiful old frame that I picked up somewhere or other many years ago. I'm talking like 20 years ago. It has a really beautiful bowed glass front, so that seems to me that would be perfect to do some slow stitchery behind. And of course it's all worn and broken and pre-loved, so that is what I am going to use to frame and hang this stitchery. So the good thing about that is that means that this piece is the perfect size for what I need to do. So I've done a little bit of quick sketching after watching both of the prompts for the background fabric. So my overall picture, and I've just done a really rough sketch here because obviously there hasn't been prompts revealed for what's on the table yet. But again, big picture person. So I've just had a bit of a play with this funny shape that I have, and I'm going to make it very old, of course, very busy. I did consider for a very short period of time doing something quite stark, and that lasted about 12 seconds. So my still life is going to be whatever our elements are, and I've just drawn these is to give me some sense of where things are going to be on a table. And behind it on my wall, I'm going to have a painting. This is going to be a painting, and I just had to play with how big I needed it to be. So this painting on the wall behind my still life is going to take up that much space. So the top kind of right corner. Over here I'm going to have some old torn wallpaper. I'm going to find out a way to look like there's a chair rail here and some paneling. And then my table is going to be on the front here with whatever elements. So at the moment I'm going to start on these bits. So I have had a bit of a play through my fabrics, and I do have two fans on because it's really, really hot here today. So I did do a test run and it seemed like it didn't affect the volume too much. So let's hope it doesn't affect the audio. So I got a piece of this Perspex that I had, and I've basically taken my little drawing and just plotted the main size. The size is the thing. I don't want it square. It needs to be slightly off center for me to be happy with it. So I've kind of just jotted those pieces on here, and then I've used this to work out how big the scene in my painting is going to be. If you can see, it's going to be this big. So that's A4. So that's the size, and obviously that's the size right up to the frame, and not allowing really for the frame of the picture of the painting. I do want the painting to be across the midline, so it's not going to be in the middle. It needs to be about there. So this probably is all painting. So then, now I'm just going to remove this off my table so I don't inadvertently break it. So hang on 2 ticks while I pop it over here. So then I got hold of this, and I've gone through my fabrics and thought about what's my painting going to be. I've cut myself a bit of cotton. This is going to be my background. I hope it's got no stretch. No, it's cotton. And I have, not on that side I haven't, drawn around that piece of hard cardboard that's actually in the back of my painting. So I don't need to have it all on camera for you at the moment, so I'm going to pull up so you can see the top. And so this is where my painting is going to go. So then I've taken this and I've laid it across some fabrics because I want this to look like a painting. So I want it to have some sort of rural scene. So I've picked out some toiles. The first thing I picked out just on a, was this, because I love this fabric, because, you could have a picture of a boat. And just thinking about how that would look. So if you imagine that as the size of the painting, it doesn't work. So get to keep that for another day. One of my favorite fabrics of all time. So I had a bit of a play with some toiles. This was one that came to mind. The sort of sizes and the scale were about right. So if you think of finding a scene that would be the scene of a painting. So maybe this little picture here. That could work. See how nice that is? Can you see that? Is that reflecting? Yes, it's reflecting. So see if I can lift you up a bit. Yeah, a bit hard to see through that, I'm sorry. But that was a bit too little girly and not sophisticated enough, if that makes sense. So then I found this, which we bought at the quilt shop in Harvey Bay. Harvey Bay? No, Maryborough, one or the other. Harvey Bay it was. And it is the most beautiful brown tile. And immediately this spoke to me because it's brown, which I love. It's going to fit in with the aged frame really beautifully. So I'm just having a look through at all the different little individual scenes, thinking about what my painting is going to be of. Like, for example, how fabulous is that? That might even just be it. But I'm not going to go with the first one. I'm going to try a few. So that's an option. There's a few different scenes in this. There's the scene of, it's a bit big. It's folded across the middle, not long ways. And I bought a quite big piece of this because I've never seen it and I just love it. And I think the ladies that I were with all bought a piece too that day. So there's this little cottage. See, that might be ideal. Can you see this little vignette here? And it's got a cottage and a tree, and it's got children playing outside. Let's just see how much of that. You see, that works beautifully for me because I can make that into a painting. You didn't see the flowers, then that looks like a little standalone painting on its own. So I'm going to be quite decisive with this, otherwise I could be here all day. So there's that. I'm going to have one more quick look at the alternative, which was this tree and this scene here, which was the scaled out a bit. So I don't know if it will work as well. So that's the shape of my, no. No, so if I look at my drawing and look at scale, and I don't necessarily, live or die by this, but just to get an idea. So if we're looking at, the house being that size in the painting, that works. If it's a little bit smaller, which kind of would be how big this one is. So I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to go and cut a piece out of this fabric.